Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast, episode 33. My name is Alina Warwick, and I'm extremely honored to speak with Jorge Ruiz about his journey. He initially came to the United States to study because all of the universities were closed due to a military regime in Bolivia. But his journey took him back to Bolivia, where he ended up opening several different companies in several different industries. His mission now is to create tools to financial institutions to allow them to innovate and digitize their processes. His company, FinConecta, is the first in the industry to launch this innovation that integrates fintechs into financial institutions around the world. Jorge is extremely bright and brings lots of invaluable entrepreneurial advice to all of us. So let's dive right in. Jorge, thank you so much for coming onto the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast. I truly appreciate your time, and I'm super excited to get to know about your journey. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
All right. So let's talk about your immigrant journey. Tell us where you're from and when did you come to the United States?
Of course. I was born and raised in Bolivia in South America. I went to college in Texas, so I was in the US before. Then I went back to Bolivia after that and came back with my family to Miami in December of 2004. So Miami is such an amazing place to live, do business, meet like-minded people. And when I say like-minded people, I mean people of diverse groups and that have some regional global business goals in mind. And of course, the weather is fantastic. So that's why I think Miami is a great location to move in.
So you came out here to study. What did you study?
Well, that was in late 80s. And I actually started with aerospace engineering. And I always wanted to go back to Bolivia. But then I thought, what am I going to do with that in Bolivia? So I switched to business. And while I was in business, I said, okay, so what's the most difficult one within business? And I thought a combination of finance and accounting is the one. And that's why I chose finance. But then I fell in love with finance. And then after graduating, I went back to Bolivia and worked with multiple financial institutions. And I founded my first company in Bolivia, a broker-dealer house. That was my first gig. So this FinConecta is not the first one, but we're going to talk about that later.
Okay. And how old were you when you came back here to Miami with your family?
Yeah. So this time I was not that young. I was in my early 40s.
Okay.
I was fortunate to arrive to this country that time around as an expat. Citi Bank offered me to move to the US to lead a regional business unit. And that later became a global innovation team that I managed out of the Miami office. I didn't want to go to New York. That's a little bit too cold for me. So we built a global team from Miami. And out of that, we managed to do 16 innovation programs all around the world and met about 3,000 entrepreneurs in the fintech space. So that was a very nice landing and a good opportunity that Citi gave me to be in a global role from Miami.
Got it. Okay. So essentially, your work brought you out here to live in the United States. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. So what was it like growing up in Bolivia?
Well, I was fortunate to have been raised by a serial entrepreneur. That was my mom. Yeah, I learned about successes and failures of entrepreneurship since I can remember. At the time, many things might not have made much sense. But now when I look back, I clearly see where I come from. I think every time I think of a business, I think of what the family used to do. I was introduced to the 7-week, 16 hours a day work by her. And growing up was always talking about business, looking for business opportunities. So any conversation in my family will always include some business discussion, some next steps. So to me, raising in Bolivia was basically being raised around entrepreneurship.
Wow, amazing. And what kind of business did your mom have?
Oh, she did so many different things. She was... she was in gold. She was in textile. She was in so many different things. Some things worked, some other ones didn't. So some were great successes. The other ones were not as much. So I think I learned through the different experiences with my mom.
Got it. That's so amazing to have you see full example living right in front of you and to see all the ups and downs and get all of the juicy information of what it's like to be an entrepreneur right in your household. So That's amazing. So tell me a little bit more about Bolivia. Was it prominent for everyone to go to college? I mean, how did you end up going to school in Texas if you were in
Yeah.
Bolivia?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. At the time, we were living not too good times in Bolivia. So it was difficult times because the universities were closed because there were military regimes. So my mom thought, hey, you better go somewhere else. Otherwise, you're never going to you're never going to have a profession. So
Mm.
she decided to send me to the US. So that's how I ended up here. At first, I really wanted to be a mechanic. I love motorcycles, so I thought I was just going to stay in Bolivia and be a mechanic. But thankfully, that was not the case. And I came to the US, learned a little bit of finance, and that gave me this interest in the industry. So that's how I started my career in finance and in insurance and banking. As I said, I launched a broker-dealer house. I was general manager for an insurance company. And from then, many things happened that brought me to the US and where I am now.
Did you come on a scholarship
Uh,
to study in Texas?
No, not really. When I started, no. But then when I got to Texas, Texas at the time had a scholarship called I think it was the Good Neighbor Scholarship or something like that. And one person per country will get a full scholarship, and I got that for a couple of years. So that was nice. But other than that, it was my mom's finances that brought me here.
Well, shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
She did an amazing job. Oh my
yes,
goodness.
she did.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the struggles that you had to go through when you first immigrated. And I want to hear kind of both sides. The first time when you came to Texas, I'm sure it was a culture shock for you, but
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was because there was a language barrier, of course, and there's the culture barrier. I had some friends that were also from Bolivia, some other ones from Mexico, and we were able to get a good group of people. So it wasn't as difficult. I did wanted to go back to Bolivia. That's why I decided to switch careers instead of aerospace engineering, go to finance because I thought Bolivia was the place to be. And so that was that journey. And this second time around here in Miami, I think the struggle was a little bit different because that was more related to the change of lifestyle.
Mm,
Due to the nature of my role, I had to spend, I would say, 2/3 of my time traveling. That meant being away from the people I love most of the time, which it's very difficult and you never get used to that. So I think that was the biggest challenge that I had being an immigrant, but at the same time, because of the nature of the role that I had.
got it. Got it. So, before you tell our listeners about your company, tell me a little bit about the path that you took. And I'm hearing that FinConecta was not the first company that you
Mm.
started. So, let's hear a little bit about the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, for sure. So FinConecta is my last company, but then prior to that, I was involved with 5 or 6 other ones. The big
Wow.
difference with FinConecta is that most of the other businesses I launched, I was not leading the company, and I always had second gig going on at the same time. So I would work for someone else, but at the same time, I will have some sort of stake in different companies. And the first company that I launched, I managed that company. I founded the company, but I had a good partner. I had a financial institution that funded the broker dealer that I wanted to do. So that was different than FinConecta. And FinConecta, we started with our own funds. So that's different because you see the money going out, you don't see the money coming in for the
Hmm.
first few months, and that sometimes is scary. But I think I was lucky enough to have learned from different startups that I met in my career and the journey that followed through Citi Bank and the innovation program. So I knew it was going to be like a difficult first couple of years, but thankfully everything turned out well.
So, you said your very first company was a broker dealer.
Mhm.
And
A
what is
broker
that?
dealer. It's a company that will invest money for others, like let's say like say Goldman Sachs, but that they
Okay.
do trading. This
Got
was
it.
a
Got it.
small, of course, a very very small version of that. But we did trading for multiple people. We launched a couple of mutual funds, so it was an investment firm, a broker dealer house, and I still own part of that company, a very
Hmm.
successful one.
Okay. And this was, you launched it in Bolivia.
Correct.
And how old were you?
I was in my late 20s, probably.
Wow. Young entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah. I started young.
Okay, awesome. So then after that, was it, you said 5 or 6 different companies. Were
Correct.
you involved in just financial industries
Well,
after the first
mm,
company?
yeah, no, we also launched a company in education.
Okay.
We acquire a franchise for Future Kids. I don't know if you heard of them. They started in California, and this is a franchise to teach kids about technology. And this was probably 25 years ago. So it was early days in terms of technology. And we launched that company. It was going to say okay. And at the end, we decided to just sell it. But that was one of the other companies that we launched. Then we also did some e-commerce,
Okay.
and that was interesting. It was a different kind of industry. It was not finance, it was not education. So that was that. And then we had a couple of other ones that we started, but we decided not to go live because it was not the right timing. So different companies at different moments, some were live, some were successful, some were not as much. And then now I'm fully devoted to this one, FinConecta, that I think we are on a good path to really enhance the way finance is managed today.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, you've been in all kinds of different industries now.
Yeah.
You got your feet wet all over the place.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell us more about FinConecta and what you guys focus on.
Of course, we founded FinConecta with the goal of giving tools to financial institutions to digitize their businesses. We create a platform that allows financial institutions to test, to innovate fast. So, financial institutions that want to work with third party solutions, let's say fintechs, using our platform, they can do that without having to invest time or resources because we basically are software as a service, and they can create new solutions with 1/10 of the cost or the time devoted for that. So what we do at FinConecta is we actually support financial institutions to develop new solutions and to integrate new capabilities without having the pain of building on their own and being able to use them as they present it to their clients. So it's a software as a service that allows them to buy solutions from third parties.
Okay, so can you give us some examples?
Of course, of course. And you can see
Yeah.
this as iTunes for fintech.
Okay.
So financial institutions, once they go into our platform, they can find multiple services from different fintechs around the world. We have a catalog of about 200 fintechs that they offer services like chatbots, account opening, know your customer. So different services that financial institutions need in order to provide a digital business to their clients. They will find them in this catalog of services, and then
Mm.
they will be able to integrate all those services into their own platforms. For their clients, they will not notice because this works on the back end of the financial institution. But this allows financial institutions not to have to build all of that and wait for months or years to have solutions that they can offer to their clients to digitize whatever their clients do.
And you guys only focus on fintechs, right?
Right now, that's what we do. We focus
Okay.
in the financial space. We focus on integrating fintechs into financial institutions around the world. We do this in Latin America. We're doing this in Africa. We are in conversations to launch a couple of partnerships in Canada, US, and Europe with tech companies that we will partner to be able to present these solutions to financial institutions that are currently working with them.
Got it. So is this similar to like PayPal and Stripe? And then like if they wanted, like you said, a chat bot on their website, then that's where you guys would come in and develop those services.
Yeah, it's let's say a bank, and let's say a bank in Kenya. They want to offer digital account opening. So what
Okay.
they do is they register in our platform, and they will go and search for account opening in Kenya, and they will find a service that provides that kind of technology in Kenya. So this can be a company based out of New York, based out of Australia. So they will click on that, and then that will get integrated into the core system. So it's a very technology infrastructure solution that allows financial institutions to quickly accelerate the process of digitizing what they do.
So sophisticated, I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, it's yeah. I mean, this is for financial institutions that want to digitize their business, and it's not for people to use them. It's
Yeah.
more for the financial institution itself to be able to accelerate the growth in the digital space.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So I want to know, how did you come up with that business model? Was there something when you were working at Citibank, or
Yeah,
did something trigger that? Let's hear more about that.
for sure. The financial industry is not as developed from a technology perspective as other industries. And one of the biggest problems that we had at Citi and many financial institutions have, imagine if Citi has those problems, mid-size and small-size financial institutions, it's even more acute, is that the integration process of new technology is cumbersome, it's expensive, it's not efficient. So that's why when we started to designing the solution, we said, okay, we need to find a way that we can create a global hub where we can have multiple solutions that can serve many financial institutions and being able to create an interconnected ecosystem globally, which is what we actually want to do. If we look at what we want to achieve in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years, is to start connecting multiple pieces from around the world into one single interconnected ecosystem. This is something that today doesn't exist. There's some pieces here and there, but there's not one place that you can go and find multiple solutions that you can integrate with only one connection if you're a financial institution. So we're the only one providing that today. And we're hoping that with what we are doing, the cost of serving people will reduce, and which will definitely allow for financial inclusion to grow and being able to support more people around the world, not just to have an account, but have an account that is efficient in terms of cost, and it's efficient in terms of how can you access those services. No, there's at least 1/3 of the population of the world today, they don't have proper financial services. And if we're able to create an interconnected ecosystem that reduces the cost for that, we can certainly support that.
Okay, got it. So you were working at Citibank and you realized that there's no one in the industry that is doing what you guys are doing. And you kind of just said, you know what, let me just launch it and see where it goes.
Yeah, correct. And there's that what we've launched is not something that one financial institution can do, because we are sort of like the aggregator with the connector. That's why FinConecta, because we connect different pieces.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't work. Banks don't work necessarily with other banks. They don't like to share that information. So you need someone in the middle that will be able to connect them all. That's how we came up with this idea of having and building an interconnected hub.
So genius.
Thanks.
I hope you guys are going to be the leading industry in that.
We're hoping, yes.
So, how long did it take you guys to see some real traction in the beginning stages?
Yeah, something that we did was to partner with development banks. So we partnered with the Inter-American Development Bank for Latin America. The Inter-American Development Bank is like the World Bank, but just for the Latin American Caribbean region.
Okay.
So we partnered with them, and then we launched an innovation program. And that was very successful because attracted many financial institutions interested in innovating and launching different financial services. And we did the same for Africa with the FMO, which is the Dutch Development Bank.
Mhm.
So we decided not to go alone, but to partner with people that have been in the ground for many, many years. And that's the IDB and also the FMO. So that was probably one of the strategic calls that we made that I think were the right ones. A couple of years after we launched the program with IDB also became one of our shareholders. So the story with the IDB progressed to the way to have a more structured partnership with them.
Okay. So, is that raising capital with these different partners, or you kind of just partnered up to reach your network and then get the ground level going?
Yeah, both. In the
Okay.
case of FMO, it was to reach their network. In the case of IDB, it was network plus funding.
And what is IDP? IDB?
Inter-American Development Bank, IDB,
Oh, got it. Mhm.
yeah, is based out of Washington.
Okay, got it. So then when you guys launched, did you see real traction in the beginning stages, or did it take you some time?
Yeah, the first year was more developing the technology. So the second year, when we launched the program with IDB, we started seeing traction. And then we went to Africa, more traction. And then what we did with that was to come up with a new way of using our technology. And now we give our technology as white label, meaning that whoever wants to build an interconnected ecosystem for a country, region, we give them the technology, we partner with them, and then we launch the marketplace. And we did the first one in Mexico with the company that processed payments. The company name is Prosa. They wanted to launch a marketplace for digital solutions for the Mexican market. And they didn't have the technology. They had the right business model. They went to the Inter-American Development Bank to ask for advice. And well, they told them, hey, we just invested in a company that they have the right technology. So they got us together and we launched a marketplace called FinSpace in Mexico. And today we are in discussions in other countries to do the same, to launch marketplaces by country. So we were successful at presenting the model, and now we have shifted towards building ecosystem with partners, and that's where we are now.
So how did you decide to go global, or how did that come about?
Yeah. Well, I guess it was the nature of where we were coming from, because I was very accustomed to do business everywhere because I was the global head for innovation in fintech. So I would travel the world to look for fintechs everywhere. I probably met with, I don't know, 3,000 of them out of the 16
Wow.
programs that we did with Citi. Yeah. So I was very much accustomed to be in multiple geographies. So
Okay.
I think that was a fortune to really understand how business work in different locations. So we were not focusing in just one region. Plus, we wanted to build this global ecosystem. So that's why we kind of started global.
So I'm hearing you basically just built that network already. So you had all the connection where you kind of just put the pieces together and reached out to all these different partners and launched an amazing product in Mexico. And then that's how you developed it in Africa and going into other countries.
Yeah, Mexico came afterwards. We first launched in Latin America, then in Africa, and the Mexican initiative was more, let's use our technology as a white label for one specific market with a local partner. But we do have clients in different locations. That the first one that we started with.
So we touched about raising capital. You said you did raise capital in the beginning stages. Did you have to continue raising capital?
Yeah, we have. We started with BC. Here in Miami. It's called the Venture City.
Okay.
Amazing people, great partners. So we started with them. They were actually our angel investors. The first round was with them. And then the IDB came as an investor. And together with the IDB, a group of individual private investors that will bring in knowledge and network. So that's how we grew our capital base. And yes, as many startups, you have to continue raising money in order to grow.
So let's talk a little bit about mentorship. Did you have any mentors that helped you out to start your business? And I'm going to just cover all the businesses in all stages.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, many.
Okay.
Starting with, of course, my mom, and then different people and different moments, depending on what we were doing at the time. I think one of the greatest mentors I had was, and I still have, is Jay Collins, which is the vice chairman for Citi, who's always there supporting us. He's also an investor for FinConecta. So that's one name that is really important for me. And along the way, many other people that have helped me really understand what we were doing and what needed to be done. Today, we have an advisory board for FinConecta that is very, very strong. And every time I need something, I will just raise my hand and they will come. The other thing that we did was we joined a network. I don't know if you're familiar with them, with Endeavor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so we are an Endeavor company. Actually, I am an Endeavor entrepreneur, and Endeavor is a network of people that they will help you depending on what you need. So it's a group of advisors. They also have capital if you need. And that's also a way of giving back, because we support new entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs support us. So it's a very strong network, and having Endeavor by our side, that's been important.
So how, I'm hearing it is important, but how is it important in the success of any entrepreneur to have mentors, to reach out to mentors, to get advice? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's impossible for anyone to know everything. And it doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to need the support either on understanding pricing, understanding markets, or even you just want to chat with someone to get their ideas on things you might be doing. So having a good network of people that you can talk to, I think it's key
Hmm.
because otherwise you go crazy trying to solve things on your own. And many say that entrepreneurs are extremely lonely. And I think having advisors is very good because then you have people that will understand what you're going through.
Yeah, we can't do this all by ourselves, right?
No, there's no way.
So, Jorge, what do you think most prepared you to become an entrepreneur? Is there anything that you can see specifically that prepared you in any way?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. It's things you read about, it's people that you talk to. I think I was fortunate to talk to so many entrepreneurs along my innovation career that I learned bits and pieces from many of them, right? And their successes, their failures that help you see different things that you have to see. And being an entrepreneur, is, I'm sure you heard this, it's very difficult and you need support. And so the more you can read, the more you can learn, the more that you can experience, the more people that you can talk to, you're always going to find something that you can use. And I've done many things in my life. I've spoken with so many different people and I've visited so many different industries, countries, and there's always pieces that will remind you what's happening in one part of the world. No, Kenya, for example, to me is an place for inspiration. There's so many things happening in Kenya. They innovate with so little and they do amazing things. Same thing in Israel. When you visit Israel and you speak with them, you learn so much from them, right? So the more you can talk to people, the more that you can reach out, the more that you can travel. Whenever we're back to traveling, it's
Yeah.
the best experience in terms of learning. Yeah.
I totally agree because anytime I go overseas, there's so many business ideas that I just
Yeah.
pile up with. And I'm thinking, why doesn't America have this? Or why can't we have this where I live? So I totally agree with the traveling and everything that you've said so far. So I'm really interested to know, how do you look at failures and how do you overcome them?
Mhm. Yeah. Failure is something extremely difficult. It's easy to say that you have to learn how to manage failures, but when you're an entrepreneur, you have clients, you have employees, you have partners, you have investors, and failing could mean different things for all of them or for some of them. And you need to be able to manage that. And the best way, I guess, to manage failure is the ability to pivot as fast as possible to find the next possible good thing. Because failures will happen. It's just a matter of you finding the new path. Keep trying, right? Because otherwise, if you just stay with the failures, you will never move forward. But it's not easy by no means.
Hmm.
And having what we were saying before, having the right network of advisors, partners, people that you work with, it's very important so that you can have the ability to pivot as fast as possible to find the next potential positive outcome.
So don't be afraid to fail, right?
Well, yeah, don't be afraid to pivot right after you fail because the chances are you will fail one way or another. Not necessarily 100% failure, but you're going to have small failures here and there. You have to
Mhm.
learn from that, pivot, and keep moving.
So, through all of your entrepreneurial adventures, you've had so many different companies. Did you have at any point ever want to give up?
Uh, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's natural because people get tired, and when you are, I don't know, let's say 1 2 years, and you don't see a positive outcome yet, then it can become frustrating, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And again, here comes the ability to pivot and to find the next potential success.
Hmm.
And it has happened to me and to my partners. It is frustrating. You just have to keep going. It's not an easy journey. And when I said that I learned about a 7 day week and 16 hours a day work, that's what this story is about. Right. And
Hmm.
then throughout that, there will be days that you think you are like conquering the world. And then the day after you think you're done. And you probably heard that story before, but it's so true. You just have to keep in mind that when you're down, there's a good thing coming up because you're not going to be at the bottom for too long, you will start going up again.
Mm.
And you need to focus on that. And as long as you can think that a good thing is coming when you're down, that will pull you. That will say, hey, there's something positive going forward. So keep going. And yeah, that's how you can finish the journey with a positive note.
So, so powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
It's important to talk about failures, but it's also important to talk about the successes. So, let's switch gears and talk about successes. Are there any successes that you would like to outline from your immigrant entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, I guess it's something very important that we did was to partner from the beginning with names like the Inter-American Development Bank or
Mhm.
the FMO or others that we partner with. Don't try to do this alone and try to find strong partners that can help you through the journey. And I think that was a success for us because that gave us the strength to did what we've done and then what's coming next. So I think in general that was something that we learned that I think we can pass it along to others, which is a look for partners. Don't try to do this alone or whatever it is that you're doing. And I think that's probably one of the most important ones. The other one could be being part of a network, as we said, Endeavor or anyone like that that can help you through the journey. Because networks that are strong as Endeavor will definitely help you. And you have to use that network. So I think those two were good decisions that we made at the right moment.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, what's next for you guys? What are some business goals for the next couple of years? Anything you can share with us?
Well, yeah, we're launching a new product in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
The world is moving towards open banking. Open banking is a way for financial institutions to open their technology for third parties to connect. And that's a very expensive proposition. So what we've done is build a solution called Open Banking as a Service. So we're launching that in a couple of weeks. That will reduce the cost of doing this, I don't know, 10, 20 times to what it is today. And then we're about to launch a couple of partnerships in probably in the first half of this year. I wish I can tell you who with, but it's yeah, very strong names that we think it's going to be a very interesting journey for the next couple of years. Ideally, we will be growing, we will be hiring more people and entering new markets. All depends on how things progress in the first quarter of this year. I'm very positive about it, but we will grow because the financial industry is digitizing more and more, and we're in the middle of it. So hopefully we will be able to work with many financial institutions in different regions in the world.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
So, what does the traditional banks, how do they look at all of this innovation? You said open banking. Are they afraid? Are they catching on as well?
I think there's both. Now, there are the ones that they don't believe this is coming. I think that used to be like 90% of them. I'm going to say that was like 4 or 5 years ago. I
Hmm.
think that has switched. I think 20% of them now think that they can remain as they are. I think 80% of financial institutions in the world are trying to do something around digitization, whether that is partnering or they're building their own things, or they have to move quick because the financial services as we know them today will change in the next 3 to 5 years. There's a lot going on in this space and many new entrants. And if you are in the financial industry, you have to innovate and you have to innovate in a way that is efficient in terms of cost and timing. And I think that's where everyone is heading towards. And that's where we can help and work with anyone that has that in mind.
So, Jorge, what does the American dream mean to you?
The American dream, I think first we have to see the US as what it is, right? I mean, US
Mhm.
is in terms of GDP, that's 1/4 of the world. So that means that every dollar that gets produced in the world, 25 cents comes from the US.
Mhm.
So it's a very large economy. And then when you're thinking about education also in the US, 15 of the top 20 universities in the world are here in the US. And when you think about funding, 18 of the 20 largest angel and early stage VCs are in the US. So if you add all of that to a very robust structure in terms of law infrastructure and all of that, then it's an engine that definitely can be fuel for many entrepreneurs, right? So
Mhm.
I think all those elements, all those factors are a huge contribution to having the basis for anyone to being able to innovate and create. So the American dream for me is being able to have all those tools available that anyone can reach out to. And if you work hard, you can definitely put all those pieces together and build something that can be successful. So that's how I see the American dream.
Yeah, that's so true. I hear so many people on this show say that from all the countries that they're from, if you work hard, you don't go anywhere. If it's based on your grades, or it's based on your heritage, or it's based on where you live. So the working hard piece that you mentioned and putting all the pieces in perspective, what we have in America is truly, truly amazing. So
by all means.
Yeah, yeah. So is giving back, either volunteering time or giving back to the community, something that is part of your business values?
Yeah, totally. That's another reason why we joined Endeavor, because Endeavor is a formula of not just entrepreneurs getting advice, support from the network, but also give back. There's even a commitment from entrepreneurs that if they sell their companies, they're going to give a percentage of the profits to fund new supporting mechanisms for new entrepreneurs. So totally. And I think whoever is an Endeavor entrepreneur, that does have to have that in mind and being that part of their mission.
So you mentor brand new entrepreneurs through Endeavor?
It hasn't. You can do it through Endeavor, but of course, you do that. And also, Endeavor will help you structure that, because it's not that you become an Endeavor entrepreneur from day one. I think it's from 3 to 7% of entrepreneurs that apply that are selected as Endeavor entrepreneurs. So it's not an automatic membership. Yeah, it's you have to earn it. So in order to get there. Yeah, there are different steps. So there's a scale-up program. So different programs where they invite other entrepreneurs that are not there yet. They're not scaling yet. And us Endeavor entrepreneurs will support those networks as well. So it's a network of supporting each other. Independent of which level you're in, there's always going to be something for you.
You said it's the only people that get selected are 3 to 7%. Is this for the elite?
Well, the thing is, it's not that they can reapply. No, you have to have certain conditions that show that what you're building is a business that will scale, and not all will succeed, of course, because nobody can assure that. But it's meant to be for those that are in the moment that they can scale more. And if you're not at that level, then you can still be in a scale up and being mentored and supported until you get to the point where you can become an Endeavor entrepreneur.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I will definitely link the Endeavor link in the show notes for everyone who's listening. So Thank you so much for sharing that. So what are some things that you would advise the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business listening to you right now?
I think something that I always say when I'm asked a question similar to that is always think big. And don't be shy on what you're dreaming, on what you think. I don't believe on focusing on something small, because it takes the same amount of energy to build something that is, let's say, for one country or for one city. The same energy as you would be thinking that solution could be for a region. It could be for a much larger target market. So I think it's always think big. Always think, how can you make a bigger impact, and always focus on that, because the time that you devote to whatever it is that you're building is you're not going to get it back. So if you're going to invest time on building something, make it worthwhile. So make it big.
Dream big.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, Jorge, I have some super, super fast questions to wrap up with, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
Okay. What time do you normally start your day?
I'm going to say 7.
Okay. How many employees do you have?
25.
Okay. How often do you watch TV in a week?
I'm going to say nowadays probably 3 hours, 4 hours.
A week?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And the last one is, how many hours of work do you normally put in on average, say, on a week?
70 hours.
70 hours. Okay.
Yeah, from 60 to 70 probably.
Okay. Okay. So your mentality from your mom is still instilled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
precisely.
Hey, well, Jorge, thank you so much. What an amazing journey you have gone through. You're
Thank you.
so innovative and what a genius product you guys are developing. So I wish you all the best of successes
Thank you,
and thank you
Alina.
so much. And I hopefully there will be a part 2 to this.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm totally honored to be with you tonight.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any links that were mentioned in this episode, make sure to check them out on my website under this episode to find all the links conveniently located in the show notes. I just wanted to ask for a quick favor if you could please leave a review wherever you're at listening to this podcast. Also, if you're an immigrant entrepreneur and would love to be on my podcast, please email me and we'll get connected. I'll see you guys all next time for another exciting and impactful episode. Take care.